Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Elisa Di Stefano and I work in FAO headquarters supporting the implementation of SCALA in Latin American countries.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Arturo Urena. I am the National Project Coordinator in Costa Rica for the program SCALA. It is a pleasure being here to share what we're doing in the country. And especially, I appreciate this interview because we want to share how we are implementing the system assessment through the SCALA process. Thank you.
So, what is the purpose of the system level assessment in Costa Rica?
Well, to begin, it is important to consider that in Costa Rica and through SCALA, we're trying to implement two main activities. One is related to the recarbonization of the soils associated to livestock and coffee sectors, and the other has to do with a certification standard for beef production free from cover loss. In that way, the purpose of the system level assessment in the country is to assess the GHG emissions, removals with current livestock and other land use practices in defined SCALA target areas.
Very interesting. Indeed, what are the questions that are meant to be answered in the system level assessment?
There are many questions to be answered through the system level assessment, but there are some key questions that we have to consider. First, we have to think in how can the GHG emissions and removals assessment contribute to a better management of livestock and coffee production systems. The focus is on agriculture, soil organic carbon. Another important question is to identify which is the current soil organic carbon stocks and the potential to sequester soil carbon in the livestock and coffee production system. But we also think to identify which is the interest of the farmers and farmer associations in those potential soil areas to adopt good practices and receive technical support to access carbon credit markets and financial incentives. How to best measure, report, and verify the impacts of the good practices adoption. In addition, it's also necessary to answer how can the existing platforms such as DINEA, which is the platform used by the Ministry of Agriculture in Costa Rica to report NDCs, improve the way they report GHG emissions in the country, coming from livestock and coffee sectors.
The approach looks very comprehensive. It would be interesting to know which methodology and tool we'll be using to perform this assessment.
Well, that is very important. In Costa Rica, SCALA is trying to implement a methodology to assess how livestock and coffee sectors can contribute to the national efforts to reduce GHG emissions. This methodology is called REC-SOIL, and it has been promoted by FAO under the Global Soil Partnership since 2018. This methodology includes two protocols. One is for a visual assessment applied annually by technical extensionists and following visual criteria on sustainable soil management practices. The other protocol is about lab analysis, and this protocol includes measures of the impact of the sustainable management practices on soil health, and hence soil organic sequestration applied to reduce the sequestration of carbon. The interesting thing of this methodology is that our specialists in the country have adopted both protocols to be applied in field with technical extensionist support and taken advantage of the existing protocols designed for National Appropriate Mitigation Actions, NAMAs, referred to livestock and coffee production sectors.
So we have talked about the practical application of REC-SOIL in the field, but who in the country team is conducting this assessment?
This is a very interesting thing to consider too, because in the country, SCALA is promoting a participatory process with different stakeholders. We're trying to involve and to engage the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Environment, the Technology Institute of Agriculture, INTA, and also FONAFIFO, which is in charge, who is in charge of the payment program for environmental services, PS. Also, we want to engage private sector and academy. All those institutions have contributed with different specialists to conduct the assessment, such as people specializing in soil management, economy, forestry, agriculture, and this makes this process interesting and bring a multi-stakeholder approach.
In summary, what are the expected results and how they will inform the climate action in the country?
Well, Elisa, by applying the system assessment, it is expected to consolidate the REC soil mechanism in the country, complementing the NDC and the NAMA's priorities. Through this mechanism, Costa Rica will assess the current soil organic carbon stocks and the potential to sequester soil carbon in the productive system. And the idea is to promote the adoption to better practice of soil management from livestock and coffee farmers, including a financial recognition for these efforts. It is also expected to consolidate the agri-environmental agenda, an initiative led by the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Environment, also with support from FAO and UNDP, in which the priorities of the main productive sectors, agroforestry, fisheries, livestock, etc., on climate transformative actions have been defined in order to increase NDC and implement the recent National Adaptation Plan approved by the government.